this cold climate that made him cold. If we want to use a cold climate and say that because of the ice and the cold in Europe, this made the white man have to scramble to survive, and this made him more ruthless and devious, then what about the black man and woman who lived in what is called the torrid zone, where the equator, the imaginary line, runs through the center of the earth, and where the sun's rays at 14,072 degrees Fahrenheit strikes the earth, causing it to spin at the terrific speed of 1,037 and a third miles per hour on its own axis every 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 46 seconds. If that is the hottest place in the world, and that is where we live, then that means that those who live in a hot climate should have had to scuffle and scramble and should have been made ruthless trying to find shade in cool areas, if those who lived in the cold climate had to scuffle and be ruthless in order to find warm areas. But you do not find that conduct. You do not find that mentality. You do not find that behavioral pattern among black people as you do among whites who come from the cold climate. If you will come out tonight, my sister, read from the great and illuminating book of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Message to the Black Man, starting on page 103. We will go after this a lot deeper, but there's no question about it. If we take scissors and cut South America out and cut.
What's happening, brothers and sisters? Is your main man, Mr. X. Get your hand on my pocket. Always giving you what you want to give you what you need. I got that great illuminating book, Message to the Black Man. I'm looking at it right now. What's happening, brothers and sisters? I've not been around in a minute. You know how I do. I have to take these long breaks. Keith and Zoe and our African brethren take over, and they hold it down as they do so very well every day, all day. And that's why we are contributors. I can never give a full or say, hey, I can do a full-time job, 80 hours, because I'm never really in that position. I have to move and shake and whatnot. You dig? There's certain cataclysms, as Brother Khalid was just talking about. In my personal life, you know what I'm saying? Got to handle family first. In a few weeks, my son will be here. Also, we are having a special show July 9th. I wasn't going to do a show to before then. I was like, let me go live, kick some fire real quick, do a real good work. The beauty of having multiple YouTube live channels, Facebook channels, and so on and so forth, is that all of us can go live seemingly simultaneously. And it'd be cool to have us all on one live, so you can join all the audience. But it is what it is, like you said, I gotta go live, on the spur of the moment type thing, because I'm always busy. I'm always doing 2 or 3 things at once, and unfortunately, I had to leave as the head of my organization here, which fortunate and unfortunate, I feel like I put in my time as an organizer for the time being. Maybe I'll pick up the mantle again in a few years, but I want to sharpen other tools. I want to progress in other things, certain ideals, and connecting with people so that I can ultimately help bring back a conscious element to my hometown as long as I'm here. And I keep having children, so I delay our leaving here, because I do love my city, man. I love where I'm from. I love the people here. I absolutely believe we're ripe for change and progression and empowerment. And it's unfortunate we have a lot of dead minds here and a lot of mitigating factors that work, all the stuff that we talk about, day in and day out here on YouTube first. When it comes to Black empowerment and Black first, you see all the divides, man. You see all the things, all the interchangeable weapons that are working against us, and it's unfortunate. It's also allergy season. The pollen is in the air, and it's kicking my hind parts. It usually get me about a week or two, and then as I take the allergy medicine, my body adjusts and adapts, and then I'm good. But man, when it gets me, I want to rip off my face. I'm sneezing and whatnot. So it's difficult. You know what I mean? It's snot rolling down my nose. It's just disgusting. Um, but anyway, like I said, I wanted to get on and just chop it up, chop up some game. You know what I'm saying? I know I've been gone for a minute, and I was listening to one of my interviews on Malcolm X, and only a few people around here are, I'll call them, brave enough to have me on their show. You know, and one guy wanted to come on just to disagree with me. You know what I'm saying? And it's it's unfortunately unfortunate uh, because you can always find that common ground um, that you both believe in, that common denominator. Hey, we can work towards this goal because I know everything else is something you disagree with vehemently. And like I've said before, um, people here uh, disagree with not having whites involved in the movement, but they continuously have their movement sabotaged and things that they're developing sabotaged uh, by white folks, mainly white women, either white women or gay white men. The white man as we knew him in the 50s, in the 40s, and the early 1900s is by and large kind of obsolete. He's in the background now. It's this woman's time. The white woman, even though the white women always historically have been behind men's lynching, she would make the accusation, and then the men would come in mass and say, how dare you touch our beautiful, beloved, pristine white woman? And then the man thus would be castrated, hung, burned, ultimately melted, made into oils and things of that, eaten in some parts. Um, so complete and utter destruction and evisceration of the black man when those accusations are put out there. And now it's a different way of doing it. 2021 is not 1921. The castrations and the hangings look different. It's more of a career. You go after the big fish. You go after the black person with a career who made a lot of money and wealth, have influence um, in the minds and hearts of black people, and you rip them apart. You rip them asunder. You go after the greats. These organizations that are used now, mostly chaired by white women and devious black uh, women who are non-FBA, right? So they're in other nations. They have a totally different experience, and then they try to claim to the black experience that they've never experienced, right? So they speak to the FBA experience because they read it on the newspaper or seen it in a book or have been coached by so-called white liberals um, uh, about the so-called the plight of the black femme, right? And it goes along with here, black femme. You're gonna hear LGBTQRSTUV, WXYZ. You're gonna have them, right, champion in between it. And we talk day in and day out about the infusion of gay rights into the Black Power movement. That was done in the 70s with Bayard Rustin and him and his love for white men, and he loved them so much that he adopted one to have sex, which is that shows you how infused he was into this thing that he can do things. We would say, yeah, gay white men can adopt young black boys, and those black boys end up being moist and used as puppets, either in politics or organizing efforts to undermine black achievement. Um, and Madonna's son is walking around in dresses and stuff like that, and you know, um, um, Bayard being, as Colin called him, Bayard. Y'all know Bayard. He was infused in the movement, right? And rumors flew about him and Dr. King, and those things had occurred. And in certain books, Dr. King did have some relations with men, allegedly. I don't know that to be true. I know that they were in certain books. And we know about how these things operate. When you get pictures with Rothschilds, and I say this all the time, Bilderbergers and things like that. Bilderbergers. uh, it, you're in the end. You are in the end. You're not to be trusted by black people. not to be trusted at all. I mean, I mean, there's really no salvation coming from that. I mean, you know, in a Christian book, right, the good book, they talk about the sacrifice that you would give your life for the greater good of someone else. And in that sacrificial spirit, you will be permitted to enter heaven, right? So the Black Power pantheons of greatness for our ancestors that gave their lives, didn't have to give their lives because most of their life they were bastards. And you can say that about Malcolm X, but if you break down his life, you'll find that he was a servant of our people longer than he was a miscreant, you know. And he gave his life as a sacrifice in hopes that people would take the mantle and run. And most of them did, because you get to the end, you pretty much know you're not going to make it. If you've seen Judge Judas and the Black Messiah, people were worried about Fred Hampton. They were worried about him. And in certain interviews, the interviewer would ask him about the possibility of coming to his demise because of the constant pressure he was putting on the government, his organizing efforts, combining other poor, disenfranchised people who had somewhat of the same living conditions as blacks did at that time. You're talking about a total connectedness that could possibly lead to civil war. That's why he talks so much about the revolutions, the minds and hearts of people. And he was taken out because of those efforts. If you can get a Young Patriots white organization that lived in slums to organize with the Black Panthers, then you know the possibilities are endless. As they just had dealt with Malcolm going to Africa a few years ago and connecting with Black uh, uh, presidents and leaders who were revolutionaries and and wanted to be connected to the cause. But this thing was so large that these guys knew that Malcolm was set for assassination. They knew, and they offered him to stay in Africa. But you know, he talked with his family. He said, "What did Malcolm X look like running? And what do I look like? You know, that'll undermine everything." And certainly the FBI would use the media to report that the great Malcolm X escaped and ran. And Stokely Carmichael, coming across that same type of vein, when they tried to, FBI tried to peg him as a snitch in the Black Panther Party, and the hit was put on his life, he dipped. He went back to Ghana. Stayed there for a while. The things cooled down. Basically, the Panther Party was effectively destroyed. Then he came back and resumed, you know, teaching and organizing and things like that as an African socialist. But ultimately, he was given cancer, and he died. You know, the first was, hey, maybe the Panthers will take him out like a lot of these guys were set up. We set up these guys, and we got him killed. Maybe we'll do the same thing with Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, and it didn't occur. You know, and you know, just you know, Paul, man, there's a lot has happened since the last time I spoke to y'all. I had the brother Phil Valentine on. And I think I did another live after that. Yes, I did, about Malcolm X, and I had some discussions about the minister and his born month in our park. It's pretty much turned into a dog park now in the corner of, you know, our street. It was just, like I said, it was just organizing efforts to establish something, to establish a resume, so that as work increases, this is on your resume, and you can show these to people as they you move up the ladders. And you got to know the entirety of what needs to be done to free your people. And certain people do certain things, and it's all experience. Yesterday, you know, we got a little pool for our daughters and put some water into it, and you know, had them in the pool and stuff like that. So I was going to go to work, but I decided to just hang out with my family, and you know, we hung out, and it was good. It was good. It was cool. You know, you have to take those times as someone who's in the movement on a regular basis and just enjoy yourself. I look at social media a lot, man. I don't know if you guys are looking at social media. I don't know if you all really study. A lot of people get off because of the madness on there, but I indulge in it, and um, I see things, and it worries me. And you don't know people's real thoughts. Like the only fans women, they work in 9 to 5. They're promoting their business. Their body's their business, right? Their body's their enterprise. Their body's their corporation. So no matter what's going on socially throughout the world, um, their position is basically sexual activity, right? Because you have to be engaged in some type of sexual thought, right? To go on to these pages and see these videos. But you don't know what the women feel in terms of day-to-day life, right? Because you're promoting your business, what you say. You get out of your business what you put into it. Now, I know that better than anybody, that if you keep putting things off, it won't grow at all. Not one smidgen, not one bit, you know. So you got to constantly put efforts into growing your business, growing your channel. Black Hot Flyer continues to grow its channel, and it's constantly attacked. I think it's got agents, YouTube agents that specifically watch uh, the Black Hot Fire network channels and just dang them every chance they get, like gold races, because they want us to shift our message, taper our message, liberalize our message. It's a fear mongering campaign and censorship, you know. And white folks make this bastardized language, which we condemn each other for not knowing in efficient ways. You know, the most proficient speakers of all time are respected and adored, and we don't even realize that we're praising this colonizer's language. When you are defeated by a people, they take your tongue away from you and say, hey, this is how you can speak, and this is the way you speak. And you can tell we don't even really speak this language based on how we say it. Duh and they and that and duh. Everything they use is T, we put a D into it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the DNA connecting to where you're from and the language. And you look at the names of our people on the continent, nowhere near Tom and Jerry. We use a lot of continents here in America. The African languages kind of roll together. Now I mean, like we say, nah I mean, and they'll say, you know what I mean. We'll look at them and look at them and say, why can't you say, you know what I mean? And they'll look at us and say, why can't you say, you know what I mean? And you feel yourself changing. I don't know if any of you all had tried that, to speak in a way that Europeans can understand you when you're amongst them. I worked in an office job for a number of years. And so I would constantly get the backhand compliment of, you're so articulate and smart. Why is it that you don't say that to these other white men who have a pretty good, thought process, position on things, thought provoking on different political issues, or even economic issues, and a way to establish wealth and things of that sort. They don't say that to them, but they say it to me. Why so? What's the point of that so-called compliment? You're so articulate and smart. So my sister said that. I said that, like, listen. That's a backhanded compliment. That's saying most niggas is dumb as hell, and you got some type of intellect. Or worser, the right wing racist. Oh, you one of them uppity niggas. You one of the smart niggas. You got to watch him. You see, as long as you was on the plantation and you was one of those niggas that was smart for the betterment of the master of this plantation, and you worded things right. You gave your thoughts and your opinions and your solutions to certain problems, but you gave it in the auspice of the master thought of it, or the master came up with this great idea. Then he could hear you and receive you with his God complex, right? And you are playing your position as a stepping stool and a servant and a slave. And you say, yeah, master, that was a good idea. Putting that ditch right there. I'll get right to it. I'll put that ditch in there. We'll put the waters in there. You put the waters in there, and I'll get it there. And you can show everybody, that you came up with this great idea of a ditch there with the water so that the slave would just, in times that we allowed them to come and get water, they can still be away from the house. It don't look good that the slave niggas is around the house, master. We got to have, we'll have them, and I'll have them over there, and I'll get them. But that's a genius idea, master. That's why you're so smart. That's why you're gonna make all of the next time people come over here, they're gonna be like, Master Henry, you have done a flying job with your slaves, and they're gonna greatly appreciate it. That's how he sounds, and that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna take that credit, and so that's what they wanted in the offices. And I wasn't like that. I didn't give any ideas or anything like that. I just dealt with my job. And I'll give an example, right? And I'm just chopping up. We just chopping up game, no real topic of conversation. And I like this. I like to just be going topic to topic. I'm just talking about certain things and whatever come across my mind. We'll chat. The bigger channels who have constant comments, you know what I mean? The host would deal with the comments and as they come in, there's a lot of people. We got large platforms that deal with a multitude of different things. Do post-production videos, people watch them, but you never see the content creator. You've seen us, there's pictures of us, but we don't hide. I give my Facebook, you guys are welcome to come and friend request me or follow me. The Quinn, D-A, Quinn, Quinn, Mr. X, all one word. On Facebook, you see me and my beautiful wife. And I was at a Kwanzaa event. And yeah, I'm just doing that. But I got away from a particular topic I was about to go into. And then I started to slide away into certain things. Yeah. So the example I was giving in terms of good white folks. So, here we let the white man have it. And that's what got me connected to this. Everybody's got their story about why they are a follower or a listener of Black Hot Fire. And, it was early in and I just got saved. You know what I'm saying? I guess you save and change the moniker of saved. I just got empowered. And about 5 or 6 months in, I started my podcast and everything. And I was listening to Keith, and I had him on Facebook. And like I said, and he'll tell the story. I said, hey, man, check out my podcast. And it's all right. And he thought it'd be some janky stuff, but I did all the post-production and stuff like that. And another friend, former friend of mine had done it. And he enjoyed it, the way we had set it up, the positions that we had, which is great because it was the spectrum. It went through the spectrum of thought. And I had everybody, it was all brothers, but I had actually a position of a young man who was similar to whites because he grew up near whites and he felt more comfortable around whites because his disposition was vastly European. And I realized that, and I thought, that's how you get everybody listening. You may not like what I'm saying. I'm almost guaranteeing you're not going to like what I say, but you're probably going to like what he says. I don't care as long as you're listening. Because now you're going to, as the episodes continue and you continue to listen, you'll match up what he's saying to what I'm saying. And it's not about a he or me. It's about the information. Is it right and exact? You know what I mean? What position is more beneficial for our people collectively? Because I can break down the whole individual thing. That's European thought process. That's European education. Think about yourself. You think about yourself. You're a one-man army. One-man armies get defeated all the time. One-man armies are 42 trillion old and 42 trillion. Ain't nobody ever won as a one-man army. It just don't happen. One bullet to the head. Like the awful ass movie, Sylvester Stallone, bullet to the head. That's it. Boop. That's it. You're gone. So I was talking about white folks, and I usually get in trouble, if you want to call it that, because I talk about white folks so badly. I get into them real good, and I like to use an example of what a white person does and how the black revolutionary mind sees him and how the Negro sees him. Similar to what Malcolm said about the black revolution and the Negro revolution. And it was this guy that looked like a straight up white supremacist. How he got a supervisor job at a corporate enterprise that was booming and he had no prior experience in his job. That's white supremacy right there. No prior experience in his job. He just dealt with bars. You know, he had 2 or 3 bars in the past. He was managers there. So he knew how to manage personalities. But it was in a bar setting. So you got alcohol there. You got women around. He indulged completely. Right? So he knew how to be professional and knew how to be unprofessional. Right? As I've heard through his being there and some of his exploits. And unfortunately, right, a brother like me will have been expected to carry himself the same way. Like literally, this woman had tried to start a rumor because she was enamored with me and had just kind of, projected her thoughts and her feelings of other men onto me. She had no experience with me at all. But she shouted out in a fit of rage that I was screwing all the women in the office. Like, damn, that's how rumors can get you. You know what I mean? I'm not too familiar with rumors like that, but I guess if people see you with somebody all the time, which was said to me, because everybody, the office, husband and wife, and all that other crap. It's like we stop hanging around so much. People gonna think. People always gonna think. People always gonna talk. I'm not gonna have people dictate my movements. Nobody's running my life. I'm running my life. And she said, "You screwing all these women, and you." I'm like, "Whoa, lady, whoa, whoa. We joking and playing all that other stuff. That's one thing, but I can go to HR on your ass." Now, this is she's biracial, so some people she black and some people she not. Honorable Michael Garvey didn't say you have African, you are African. Even white folks say if you one drop, you're gonna get treated like a nigga. Now, in the auspice of Jim Crow law and Willie Lynch law, right? Uh, that the light skinned nigga would be treated better because it's closer to white, right? And it's part of the divisionary tactics against all Africans, whether they view themselves as that or not, right? So she had a crush that everybody saw and she just never admitted. But she would see me talking to the other women, and this is an office job, so it's nothing, it's really nothing but women. I'm really the only heterosexual male there. But the presumption was, hey, you screwing all these women. It's like, no. I couldn't even do that if I wanted to, because it'll make my work life a living hell. I was married, it's early in my marriage. Um, but aside from that, aside from being betrothed into the eyes of God, my lovely, beautiful wife, that rumors fly and it becomes uncomfortable. They say, "Don't shit where you eat at," something like that. Right? It's cool, right? I'm sleep. Don't shit where you sleep at, man. I'm sleeping in my bed. I don't want to smell defecation, right? Not gonna be comfortable. When you're home, you want to be comfortable. You want to relax. You want a brew, you want a water, you want a muffin, whatever it is that you consume in a relaxed state. He didn't believe in that. I stayed out of his business. I didn't care. I didn't care about none of that. What other grown folks are going to do, these are grown folks. I did notice some things that people, kind of overtly slobbing on his knob in a way that wasn't actually uh, uh, fellatio, but it was professional fellatio, right? Hi, how you doing? This is coming. She's another biracial woman, all smiling in his face, caca and kiki, and walk right past me like I'm not there. You know, a lot of that, a lot of self-hate going on, and I watched all that. So when he dealt with me, I was on probation because I wouldn't do all the best at my job. I was black to the bone. I don't care about this crack. I don't care about these stats. I don't care about none of this, you know. And previous supervisors that kind of let me just whatever. It really wasn't no big deal, and I was still getting bonuses. So I'm pretty much coasting. Now things done got so tight. They put people in contracts and everything, you know. So now my quality and stuff has got to go. It got to be at the numbers that they want it to be at. If not, you're gonna get on probation and possibly get fired. So for a good whole year, I'm like fighting for my job. Now I wasn't mentally ready yet to just leave and do my own thing. Um, so I'm working with this guy. Now he's a new supervisor, no previous experience. Looks like a goddamn white supremacist. My bald head, tattoos, and everything. We have meetings and discussions. White folks are never happy. They're the most miserable people on earth. We were made to be miserable, right? How are you in the most comfortable position and you're still miserable? White folks are freaking fucking miserable. Miserable. And they complained all day long and all that. So it was one of those things. You have a training apparatus and people have to be engaged. This also helps those on probation and stuff like that. So I had to do this song and dance. And I just stay professional. You know, this is the problem here and this is what I see, so on and so forth. I ain't indulged in none of that. And he kind of respected that from me, that I didn't get involved in the office politics. I kept to myself. I ain't say much to nobody, so he never had to really reprimand me for something I didn't do. And if I did do something, I never, kind of bullshit and say I didn't because the way they had it set up, it was obvious that you did everything was timed. So if I took a 35-minute break and he called me in, it's like, yeah, you kind of went over your break. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I was gone. Manager saw that and all that. I said, all right, cool. Give me whatever you want me to sign. So, whatever, whatever. So he had learned the systems working with me on a day-to-day basis. I had learned better, and I ain't gotten better at my job. He ain't gotten better at his job. And because of that relationship that we had, he was excited that um, I was getting better and that, he was getting better. And so ultimately, this white man had helped me keep my job. Now, the black revolutionary sees it this way. A white man who is a supervisor, he is being rated by the manager ahead of him at his job, and if he's doing it effectively, he can maintain his job, but if he's not, he will not. And everybody getting checked, everybody's under the gun. So it makes for a tense working environment, a competitive working environment, but there's no bullshit. There was a lot of laying back and chilling and relaxing and stealing company time. And, to me, that's reparations. Any billion-dollar company, new, past, future, owe me money because some motherfuckers got slave money. Trust to believe you got slave money. It's hard not to get slave money if you become a billion-dollar entity. You got somebody's slave money, which means you owe me reparations. So, yeah, I was still in my time. I don't give a damn about it. That's the difference between grassroots organizing and the black laws, Dr. Khaled called it, and Islam, and what some of these black organizations teach. Because if you look at the teachings, there's never really a time to revolt. If you have to follow the law, if you owe dates and have to repay them to white folks, then their system doesn't crumble. And there's never a time that you have an offensive aggression towards your enemy. It's really very defensive. You're waiting for them to attack. And we've been doing that for a very long time. So we don't have that attack first mindset. But anyway, he's a white man that was dozing in some of the kitty around there, but he was looking to improve his job, get his numbers up so he can get better salary. And what better way to help the Negro that scores were the worst? He would look like a hero, right? So you engage in some type of self-indulgence when he's out drinking and whatnot and enjoying himself and telling stories, which I wouldn't be at. I have no interest in hanging out with them at all whatsoever because I run into those stories as well. And me, needing to feed my family, right? Needing to have a job. I'm a grown man. I need to be either working for myself or working. And I was on ice right then and nervous. And, most stories I have were probably just having another baby. My wife has been pregnant more in the marriage than she's not been pregnant. Um, so that's always going on. So you don't ever want to hear about getting laid off or getting fired because you're not doing your job effectively enough. Interestingly enough, I probably would have qualified for unemployment because the reason for termination was I just didn't get the numbers. So, I was inept at my job. I didn't do it very well. You get denied unemployment if you do stupid shit and you get fired. You know what I'm saying? You sleeping on the job, you coming in late all the time. That's some shit that you should be doing. But if you're trying to run a process and the system is in place and there's laws, rules, and regulations, and you just can't get it, you're not effective enough. You're talking about production and quality. And I've been working there 5-6 years, so I would have got my unemployment if I got let go. But I didn't want to get let go. So ultimately, he helped me with my job. Now, like I said, I see him as a white man looking out for himself and his best interest in saving the Negro black nationalists who didn't know the systems very well, wasn't very good at it. And so when I became the most improved at like a 98 quality and everything, they was gonna recognize me. I missed the meeting. I wasn't even there purposely. Like I was aloof because I didn't want to get like you can't serve two masters, right? So to kind of engage yourself in that office politics and laughing and joking with some of these people. I had my crew of people. When black people came in, I tested them out. If they was Negroes, I left them alone. But if they was cool and rock with their brother, then they rock with me. I only had real two, my man and my homegirl. And they had ended up splitting, having some type of argument because this my sister I was the only male that she could have a positive relationship with, and that's because we only seen each other a few minutes a day. You know what I'm saying? So it was unfortunate. I haven't spoken to her in a while either. But yeah, um, the Negro would see that white man as a savior. My God, this brother, he gonna help me. White people's is good. See, he could have let me drown. And see, if he was racist, he would have let me my scores get below, and I would have got fired, and he would have been happy. See, y'all, we talking about this racism stuff. There's some good white peoples out there who could be allies for our cause, and he had helped me. I didn't know what I was crying in the meetings, and I didn't know what was going on. And we got this shit floating in the air and stuff like that, man. That's feminizing men and masculinizing women, man. So we don't even have control of our emotions. The shit we drinking is fucking with us, man. Fluoride and all that. Uh, uh, Calcifying your pineal gland and all that. You know what I'm saying? They got chemicals in every damn thing, man. So we can't reach that level of consciousness that we need to show and understand that, hey, man, these devils are devils. And we should operate differently. And once we start operating differently, things will change overnight. But the Negro the change is in the white man. And the change is to be his mouthpiece. To say, you know what? This is good white man. This is good white peoples. And y'all need to stop talking bad about him. I'm like, man, get the fuck out of my face. Get the bleep out of my face. So And the next phase of conscience, I like to do stuff to keep them like doing, panel discussions, promoting what it is that I do, to get the right people to hear the different things to become an economic base. As I wear several hats as the family is growing, so I got to get some better lodgings. Got to play this game. I hate to play it, but unfortunately, you have to play it. It's such time you fight it. As Dr. Ben talked about, following the law at such time that you have your own nation and you can create your own law for your own people. But understanding I'm not going quietly into the night, but it had to sit right with my spirit. It's not one of those things where I can convince myself that this is the right way to go, but having the right frame of mind going into it. Get credit, for this purpose. You can get this, and I can better provide for my children and the things that I want them to see and how I want them to be raised. You need resources. It costs. Uh, uh, and so everything is compromised. All our people are compromised. All the animated images, for the most part, are compromised. Even the African shows I have my daughters watch, there's a lot of rainbows. See, subtle stuff, subtle agenda pushing positions that a lot of corporations take, because this animated show or cartoon has grown exponentially. I mean, they're up to 4 and 5. They got videos of 4 or 5 million views, and so now they're getting ads. You see, they get ads. So, and all the images is called Akili and Me, and all the images of Akili and Me is black people, black children from the continent, and they're being used because I've seen Brits have somehow sponsored this thing. We said the image is important, so we see black children, we see a black girl. My daughters are black girls, and so she's leading the charge and discussing things, and I'm looking at it and seeing the messages, that the little subtle stuff I'm catching here and there that buries itself in the minds of our youth and manifest later, because my daughter will say some things through memory of having seen it so often, right? And so obviously you got to correct and all that, and not be enraged, because I'm not really mad at her. She doesn't know she's learning. I'm mad at these devils, because ultimately that's the cause of all this stuff. This created entity of destruction. It won't leave until we kill it. It has to be destroyed, all parts of it. And again, our people are not in that frame of mind, nor were they ever. In the '60s was the time of revolution, and Fred Hampton talked about them not being ready for that, people not being ready for that. And a lot of brothers during that time felt that way, and I beg to differ. Looking back at it, and I was talking about this to one of my elders. I says, during your time when there was opportunity for revolution, we had wars going on all fronts. We had black nationalists coming back from Vietnam. They left to go to Vietnam as Negroes and came back as nationalists. You know what I mean? With the purpose of freeing their people and wanting to join organizations. The most militant organizations were at their strength at that time. Uh, you didn't have the million distractions that they have now. You compare 61 to 21, 1961 to 2021. It's just, and it's only going to get worse as we see. Is that you can visualize something in your mind and it may materialize. Who knows? It was something that we used to be able to do, but it was not until it causes of destruction. Thinking about, where I see a video, a lady is flashing her money. I think it's stimulus check money, and she's flashing her money in the camera, and a guy comes and snatches her money. She left the window wide open. But I'm saying, why is it that you doing that? You felt the need to do that. What's the front about? Why do niggas show cash? Like you got it like that. And you don't. That's why you're showing us this money. People Facebook and show the earnings that they made and whatever endeavor that they indulged in. And guys who watch for that such thing are watching, waiting, plotting, and planning. Everybody got a purpose here. It's been perverted though. That there are blacks that believe I just rob other blacks. That's my job. That's what I do. Pickpocket, gun, toting, whatever. I go after the big school. So these cats is out here fronting. I'm gonna catch them slipping. Plain and simple. That's the type of environment we got. We don't go to get the beast. Yeah, you can go in that house and rob them and all that. They done created a fear mongering apparatus to whites, man. You can't go nowhere near in no white community. I'm lucky I didn't have any police altercations for the most part. I had one when I was in hell. I had one. She called the police on me, knowing the climate. I think something had just occurred. Something was always just occurred. I think Trayvon or Tamir Rice had occurred not too long before that. Maybe something else, but she called the cops on me. And I left. She thought I was going to do something to her. I didn't, again, projection. When she called the police, uh, I think we got to a scuffle. She threw something at me or something like that. And I just went and got my Xbox. Shout out to man CT, Clayton Thomas. Check out Clayton Thomas channel. Team CT all day. It's funny. It's some funny stuff. But he be hitting on the culture. He's like, hey man, I packed up my PlayStation and left. Because you got an angry ex or girlfriend, and you leave your personal belongings there, she's gonna destroy them. If she's mad with you, she's going to destroy them. That's the first thing she would go to. Broke 3 of my Xbox and PlayStations. That's $1,000 worth of damage right there. Maybe 1,500. And it's like, hey, after you do that, then what? But that's just the madness of the thought process there. And they take you there. They take you all the way there. You start thinking illogically. You know what I'm saying? You start thinking illogically and engaging them in their madness, thus losing your African self. Like I said, we're not operating from the African mind, not operating from the African mindset. And Ms. Wilson talked about that in one of his not a lecture, but an interview. He talked about the African being made dumb for the system to operate the way it does, make the dumbest decisions. Start out religious institutions that have hundreds of people in these religious institutions all across the globe, but not having real change in the areas that they're in. How is that possible? How you have an institution with hundreds of black people there and can't combine the wealth to create some type of black metropolis that with that power, that manpower, that legislation can be passed as effective because of the organizing efforts of said religious institutions. And that's how they should be used. They could be banking systems for our people, as Dr. Amos talked about. But he also talked about the rat experiment. He talked about the white professor giving a experiment presentation on a rat, and that he had created an environment for a rat, and he had dictated its movements and where it should eat and where it should pee, and delineated punishment and so on and so forth. And so, and this is dealing with white students and black students learning the same thing. That's not equal and just education. We have to have a different type of education entirely from white folks, so that we know who we are and how we should operate. Totally different stuff. None of the stuff that they would teach, we would teach our children in the context that they teach. Right? All their heroes are rapists and murderers and commit crimes against humanity, and that's why they're white supremacists, and that's why they herald them as heroes, because they acted in the faith of the white God, which we know doesn't exist. But in any case, the professor would give the experiment, and the rat be running around, and would pop it, and would remove water and bring back water, and kind of control his thoughts and minds, right? And so in the rat's mind, he believes he's making this. Oh, water's right here. I'm gonna drink this water. Oh, water's gone. Okay, whoa, water's over there. All right, so I'm gonna go drink that water over there. I feel like I'm making my own decisions, but the reality is the professor, the white professor, who's conducting the experiment, is controlling his environment, thus controlling his actions and thoughts and movements, right? And so, at the end of experiments, all the children white, black, Indian, and different, are connecting with the professor because he's a human. He's a human. I'm a human. I'm connecting with the professor within this experience. The black students should get a totally different perspective, right? Because you see somebody controlling an environment and seeing the relationship between the powerful and the powerless. Now, as you look at the rat being dictated to and control has been administered over him, think about your own personal situation. Who controls the air quality? Who controls the foods? Who controls the jobs? Who controls the movement of economics? The distribution of goods and services, right? Whom do you have to go to every time you need something? Can't you see that you're the rat? You see? That's the next level education. And he has said this in the 80s. But this is how our children should be taught. Because the presumption is that they're equal to white people and they're not. And there's a powerful, powerful government set up so that you, one, always think that and is always surprised when you come up short. The guy that I was having an interview with continuously talked like there was no white supremacy. Now, we admit we weren't talking that it's white supremacy, and then we start dealing with the effects of it, and he says, well, that doesn't exist. Well, I mean, brother, is there white supremacy or there isn't? Because we're not talking about racial injustice in certain categories. It's in everything. Dr. Newell deals with all apparatuses of the human endeavor. Everything, everything is dominated by racism and white supremacy. Everything, everything. Go to the library. You got a black book section. It's got 25 books, 30 books at the top. Not enough for all I used to read, but it's something. But notice we always saying it's something. We always try to get something, a drop, a lick, a taste out of this system. That means that teaching is being passed on. The revolutionary discussion is not being had. They're keeping the revolutionaries from the children. And then you have the agenda that has plagued our community even before the feminist LGBT organizations established themselves. There were pedophiles in our midst who engaged and indulged themselves and left scarred children to become scarred adults that cannot procreate. You see, destructive behavior. We don't check it. The churches don't check it. Politicians don't check it. We embrace it. We embrace our destruction. How often do you hear women say, I ain't got no kids, I want to have kids? That's genocide talk. If you don't want to have children, we're screwed. We're screwed. To keep us in our true form, we have to connect with one another and procreate. It's got to be done. I'm tired. Wipe some of the pictures of children. It looks beautiful. It's great to have a family, brothers and sisters, and I think that those who do not have families, or that they've grown older, and that once you get them out the house, you really don't want to start all over again. So it's not really to the older crowd, past 40, because we have specific things that we need to take care and establish. We have to get the young men ready, and there's certain things I'm learning on the fly, and I like to, like I said, the organizing aspect of my life isn't over because I like to have young black men, and there was talk about this young sister that I knew or know, um, getting the young men whom are the shooters, right? We want the ones that are meanest, toughest, and roughest, all that, and get opportunities with them regularly. The only time you get that is when you're in jail, when you can't avoid each other. And my position is any black child would do. Any black child would do. Parents, if you don't have no ideas or anything to do for this child, send them to us. We'll create something. And that was my position in my organization and some of the classes. I won't say schools, but classes. We had some classes for use at the cultural center. We have African American Cultural Center here. And I was teaching them the same way I'm talking to y'all. 9, 10, 11, 12. More visuals and stuff. A lot more hands-on. So that they know and they could know and understand what I'm getting at. My position, I'm the doctor of not doctor, but teacher of 99 class. So anybody been to college, you don't get the college credit courses. You gotta take the lower level courses. I'm the professor for the lower level courses. Keith Zoe and them is the master teachers and stuff like that. They in the higher level, they do much more reading, much more studying. So they would go to you, as you deal with me, I get you ready. You a fireball, and I give you to them, and then they take you to the next level. You see what I'm saying? And this is, and imagine if we had something like established, this becomes an economic base, right? So now we're changing the minds of our people, which changes their actions. And you can destroy white supremacy in a week. Once you become Africanized, truly, and you get with a group of people who are in the same mindset, now you can establish things. Now you can come up with goals. I remember hearing this story about 3 sisters uh, who were working together in a business. And the one sister was working, funding the business. She worked, the 2 other sisters lived with her and worked on the business, all the cross T's and dot lines and all those different things. They set that up for her. You know what I'm saying? They set that up for her, and said she would pay the balance. So whatever the monies was that had to be paid for whatever the things that they had purchased, the woman that was financing the business would pay it. And all she did was work. And I thought that was a fabulous idea, that you had 3 people who, one, came up with an idea for business and said, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to fund it. And after you fund it, uh, after you fund it, you know, then we're gonna get it all popping. And I hope that it's successful, but it's a plan and it's a strategy when people get together. You fully talked about being progressive, and like, listen, you listen. If you're black and you're a group of blacks and you don't get along, bruh, y'all shouldn't be talking to each other at all, at all. So I gave my good hour of chalk talk. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to chat with the brothers and sisters, let y'all know I ain't gone. I ain't going nowhere. I's here. We did. And we're going to keep doing what we do. We're going to get stronger and stronger July 9th. Infodeshi in the house. Right? Conscious Grand Master. That's what I'm trying to do. Like I said, the second phase of my life is really trying to uh, be in the speaking circuit. Now that things are starting to open up, I should be at least busy in Black History Month and Black August. And I've done my connections with people around here. And I'm just waiting for that reciprocity, right? The modern principles. I shouldn't do it with a purpose, but they say quid pro quo is the Europeanized reciprocity. I mean, if we operating from it the right way, uh, we should be gaining some type of momentum, you know what I mean, and overthrowing this devil. And so my position is, hey man, let's establish some things here that are truly black that we can point to that's not compromised and tainted. No other agendas are mixed and meshed into it, you know. So that's what I want to be able to do. And so got some things on the docket, and you bring back power in a way that no one else can bring it. People will seek you out. And so when you have the opportunity to lay waste to the establishment, to the stereotypes, to the bias, you do it. People will appreciate it because uh, there's enough room for everybody to find their place and be successful in it. It's all for the upliftment of our people, the liberation of our people. You can cash that $ Mr. XR. You'll see me in a unk and a hoodie, dark skin face. If you want to support, been away from a while. Got these children, got to get everything set up. So my brothers and sisters believe in the movement that I'm trying to establish. And I also want to write a book about wartime teachings, creating the revolutionary family. And I want to do that. Associate of mine in the movement has finished his book about economics. I'm going to take a gander at that when I'm done with this. And just, building on that black righteous mind. But anyway, I'm out, brothers and sisters. I'm back, and I'll see y'all July 9th, or I may come back before then. I'll probably come back before then, July 9th. But July 9th, definitely, I believe, 8 p.m. I have to check on that. I'll get back to y'all on that, and I'll make a little post so y'all know. All right?